Hi everyone, welcome to the introductory session on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is an exciting new technology that has the potential to transform the way we interact with computers and machines. As a language model developed by OpenAI, ChatGPT is designed to understand and generate human-like language. Sounds interesting, right? So let's dive deep into the basics of ChatGPT and its features. By end of this video, you will be able to understand what ChatGPT is. You will find the difference between standard chatbots and ChatGPT and see ChatGPT in action using the use cases of ChatGPT, as well as you will come to know the limitations of ChatGPT. So let's get started. To begin with, what ChatGPT is, it is powered by OpenAI and is a conversational language model, which means it can answer questions or perform tasks that yield a text-based response. This may not sound much different to a standard chatbot, but ChatGPT is much more than that. It has been trained on a vast amount of data using deep learning techniques, which allows it to understand and generate human-like language in response to questions or prompts. It can perform a wide range of tasks, including answering questions, generating text, completing sentences, and having a conversation. It is designed to continuously improve its performance through exposure to more data and feedback from users. Now let's have a look at some of the major top-level differences between standard chatbots and ChatGPT. So the major differences would include standard chatbots are usually designed to return a predetermined response to a limited number of questions, whereas ChatGPT is far more generalizable as it uses its understanding of language to interpret the question or task and determine the most appropriate response, which means that ChatGPT has a wide range of potential applications. Standard chatbots typically use rule-based or decision tree approaches, which means that they rely on predefined rules and scripts to respond to user input. They can handle simple queries and follow a predefined conversation flow, but they can struggle with more complex or ambiguous queries. On the other hand, ChatGPT uses a machine learning approach that enables it to understand and generate human-like language. It has been trained on a vast amount of data and can handle a wide range of queries and conversation topics. In summary, the key differences between standard chatbot and ChatGPT are their language processing capabilities and the level of sophistication in their underlying technology. Now let us look at what lies under the hood for ChatGPT. So as you can see from the diagram, ChatGPT is an example of generative AI model. Now what is generative AI model? It is a subset of artificial intelligence and machine learning where a model creates new content based on patterns in information it has already seen. Generative AI in ChatGPT is particularly useful for tasks such as language translation, text summarization, and creative writing. It allows for a more natural and human-like output, which can be more engaging and effective for certain applications. However, it is important to note that generative AI in ChatGPT is not perfect and can sometimes generate irrelevant or incorrect responses too, especially when the input is ambiguous or the context is unclear. So with this understanding, let us now see how a response is returned to a user based on his query. So this is how ChatGPT works. The user writes a question or an instruction, which is more generally called a prompt, which is step 1. This prompt is passed as an input to a large language model or LLM. The LLMs use complex algorithms to determine patterns and structure in language as shown in step 2. And then these patterns are used to interpret the prompt and generate new relevant language in response to it as shown in step 3. And finally, in step 4, the generated response or the text is returned to the user. Now going forward, let's have a look at some of the use cases of ChatGPT. So the first one is summarizing text. It is great at summarizing text and explaining concepts. It saves time when summarizing reports and interpret complex information more easily. Secondly, we have creating marketing content, and lastly, it can be used to generate and debug code. Now let us see the demo for all of these use cases one by one. Let's start with the first one, summarizing text. For that, we will need to use the ChatGPT through our browser. So let me go to the browser. So in the Google, I will just type ChatGPT. And you can open the first link introducing ChatGPT. And here you will be presented to this screen where you can just click on try ChatGPT. And for the first time when you use it, you will be asked to log in or sign up. So if you already have an OpenAI account, you can quickly log in and start using it. If you don't, then you can just go for sign up. So I have my OpenAI account already created. I will just log in. So this is how the user interface for ChatGPT looks like. We have the examples, capabilities and limitations, and there is a text box where you write your query or instruction, which is called prompt, and then hit the enter button. So let's go for the first one, which is summarizing text. So we will write a prompt to instruct ChatGPT to summarize GDPR in simple terms. So let me write summarize GDPR in simple terms and press enter. So as you can see, ChatGPT responds with a summary that contains very few technical details or jargon while still capturing the key details. So this is a good start. However, the summary is quite long. It would be better if we could boil it to just 2 sentences. So we can ask ChatGPT to do that. Notice that we don't have to instruct it to summarize GDPR again. It will actually remember the information and the context from our earlier conversation. And this ability to remember the conversation history and for the user to provide follow-up correction to responses are two most extremely powerful capabilities of this model. So here I will just type summarize it in 2 sentences. So as you can see, based on my input or the prompt, it has given me a response containing 2 sentences. Now let us go back to the slide and see the next use case. So the next use case is creating marketing content. So here ChatGPT can also perform more creative tasks like creating marketing content. So now let's go back to ChatGPT and ask it to write a tweet encouraging people. So let's go back to our ChatGPT. So now I will give a prompt. And press enter. So as you can see, this tweet is pretty good. ChatGPT came up with a very catchy slogan, data is everywhere, and considering the Twitter's character limitations, and it has utilized the hashtags and emojis to be relevant and engaging for the audience. So ChatGPT is already being applied to streamline many different marketing tasks, including creating email templates, writing the blog post titles and descriptions, and copy editing large bodies of text. As you can see, this is really powerful. Now let's go back to the slide and see the last use case. And the last one for this is generating and debugging code. So it is also impacting how software engineers, data practitioners, and others write code. It is able to generate template code and explain why that code is not working and even make suggestions for improvements. Now let us see the demo for this. So again, I will just write a prompt, write a Python code to load an Excel sheet and press enter. So can you see, this is the output, how it looks like. You can see the example code snippet that ChatGPT has responded. As you can see, it has also explained what is happening here in the above code. So owing to the use cases we have discussed here, let us now know at the actual reasons why do we need to make the best use of ChatGPT. So why should we begin implementing ChatGPT into our workflows and business processes? So we'll start with ChatGPT is able to perform many time-consuming tasks with greater efficiency. Using our own expertise, we can then verify and finalize the responses. This workflow of AI doing the legwork and a human providing the finishing touches saves a substantial amount of time and money. Take the example of using ChatGPT to generate the marketing content which we have seen in our demo. This will allow the marketers to focus on more complex and nuanced tasks such as deciding what to market and to whom. Implementing ChatGPT into products will also allow for greater personalization of content, delivering more value to customers. And many more reasons like these encourage us to use ChatGPT in various different fields. But like every coin has two sides, ChatGPT too has some limitations which we'll be discussing in the next slide. So although ChatGPT is a valuable tool that can perform a huge variety of tasks, there are some limitations to be aware of to use it effectively. And the first limitation is knowledge cutoff. ChatGPT was trained on data up to a certain date and the model is not connected to the internet or any other external sources, so it is not aware of events beyond that date. Another limitation is the potential bias in the training data. ChatGPT was trained on a massive text dataset from a variety of sources, including books, articles, and websites, but this data could contain biases. The model may learn these biases and produce biased responses. So thirdly, ChatGPT has the ability to build on information and context from earlier in the conversation, so follow-up corrections can be made. However, if the topic of the conversation shifts multiple times, ChatGPT can struggle to keep track of the context and generate inaccurate or irrelevant responses. So a good thumb rule here is to keep a conversation to one topic and create new conversations for different topics. Another common issue is when interacting with ChatGPT is hallucination, which is when the model confidently tells us inaccurate information. This often occurs when attempting to go beyond ChatGPT's knowledge cutoff or abilities. So in this example, we asked ChatGPT to summarize the LinkedIn profile at a certain URL. So instead of telling us it is not able to open the URLs, ChatGPT confidently provides a summary of entirely false information. You can try that on your own. Another important limitation to be discussed is on what the user can do. So consider a situation we asked ChatGPT to write a new song in the style of our favorite artist. So ChatGPT generates a song that resembles the style of the artist based on the song lyrics that were present in the training data. But who owns this song? Is it the user that wrote the prompt, or the artist that wrote the original lyrics, or the OpenAI, the owners of ChatGPT? It is easy to fall into one of these legacy gray areas if the use cases for ChatGPT are not properly scoped. So the ownership and legal implications are to be well understood and accepted. So I'll not go into much depth in all of these. We can discuss them separately. Now before we jump to the recall, let us answer a few basic questions. So now let us go through a quick questionnaire round to check your understanding of the concepts which we have covered so far. The first question is, which of the following is not a capability of ChatGPT? and there are 5 responses to it. You can hit the pause button and try answering it. And the correct answer is option B. Users can add corrections to responses. And the second question is, state true or false. ChatGPT is not aware of events past September 2021. And the correct answer is option A, true. Now, to quickly recall what we have covered in this session, we have seen that AI assisted programming refers to the use of artificial intelligence techniques to improve the efficiency and accuracy of software development. This can involve a range of tools and techniques, including the code generation, optimization, and so on. And then we understood the workflow of ChatGPT, its usage, the different case studies or the use cases related to it, and the limitations and the features of using ChatGPT. Overall, AI assisted tools represent an exciting and rapidly evolving area of software development with the potential to transform the way we design, build, and maintain the software applications. So, with this, we end this session for here, and that's it for this session. Thank you.